Tennessee on the quarterback front. You've got the Nico situation. You've got a whole lot of portal stuff we're going to talk about today, NIL dollars, et cetera. We've also got a basketball roster that's being rebuilt by Tennessee right now. Is that ahead of schedule? Is that behind schedule? What about the money there? If you've gone to a message board this week, you know that NIL money is a huge topic, and we'll dive into that as well as a whole lot of other stuff, including what's the latest on that quarterback situation. In fact, that's where we'll start in just 1 second, this first segment of our show, brought to you by our friends at the Garza Law Firm. Folks, I am always suggesting that you find a local attorney when you're in need of one. They know the local justice system. They know the local prosecutors and local judges. There's no better local attorney than Marcos Garza and the Garza Law Firm. Huge part of our community. So get in touch with them if you need an attorney. Visit their website now in case there's someday you do need an attorney and you want to know all you can ahead of time. GarzaLaw.com. All right. Let's welcome in the panel for today. It's Easter, so we've got, it's funny, I'm used to having 7, 10 people on our show. We got 4 of us today. So I appreciate you guys for being here. We have Vince Farrar right here.
Hey.
Tyler Ivins here, both of you guys, 99.1 The Sports Animal. Thank you very much.
Happy Easter.
And then right there we have Chuck Cavaleras. Chuck, good to have you back.
It's great to be back.
Back from a long working vacation.
Yes, I was on special assignment in Hilton Head.
Some would say your whole career was a long working vacation. All right. Let's just start with the quarterback thing. We're a week into the search for Nico Iamaleava's replacement, and it seems grabbing a proven starter from the portal is proving a bit difficult, which we warned you last Sunday on the show. You're going to get a lot of that today. We said that Sunday. I've seen people kind of freak out about things that I thought were kind of obvious. It's going to be tough to go in and pry someone who is set after spring practice off of their team into a new system where you're rolling the dice with your draft status and everything else. How does this system work for you? You're looking at it saying, well, the last guy's saying you didn't put talent around him. Why would I come there? Mm-hmm. You're also looking at it saying, well, I don't see any of your guys starring in the NFL yet. Yeah. And then the bigger issue is, you were going to have to pay that last guy $2.5 million? I'd like $3.5. So it was not going to be easy. And UT is making it clear that they're in evaluation mode, but we'll get into this. ESPN has reported that numerous Power 4 quarterbacks have already gotten raises thanks to Spire Sports reaching out to their agents and handlers. Tampering.
That's what it is.
That's what it is. And just don't cry when somebody tampers with your guys. That's my whole point. You got to like tampering both ways, or you got to hate it both ways. The amazing thing, one story that came out, the Fort Worth Star-Telegram reported yesterday that TCU quarterback Josh Hoover turned down what would have been a $1 million raise had he come to Tennessee.
Wow.
So he went after Josh Hoover, offered him $1 million more than he's making, and he said, no, I'm good. And that tells you, I wouldn't take that as Tennessee stinks, nobody wants to come here. It's tough to get these guys when they are set at this stage of the game. Let's take a look at some numbers here. It's a comment. This is from On3, and I had to bleep the thing. On3 reported the following. It's blanking wild. I would be sweating if I was Tennessee. A Power 4 GM told On3 anonymously. Tennessee might need to call someone and pay them $4 million to get a quarterback. Now, I love what they did off principle with Nico, but the whole thing looks tough. $4 million. We mentioned that last week as well. Vince, keep calm and carry on, or is it time to panic?
This thing is playing out like head coaches, their names being up for other jobs.
Yes, it is.
And they have no intention of going there, and they get paid and get a huge raise. So that's how people are using Tennessee for leverage right now. I think there's still time. It's Jake Merklinger is probably the leader in the clubhouse to be the starting quarterback. I don't think you can panic because Tennessee, all the positive PR that they've racked up from this Nico situation, if they pay a quarterback that may not be proven $4 million, I think you come out of it worse, and there's no guarantee that they're going to be an upgrade and fit in your system and make you that much better. So I think you got to find the right situation and see if someone is willing, not yet, but willing to at least get on in the market that is an established starting quarterback and wants a reset as much as the NIL. It's probably unlikely, but I think you still got to work it.
Yeah.
Gentlemen?
A lot of names, little movement. As of Friday afternoon, between D1 and D3, there were 10,271 names that had entered the transfer portal.
Okay, I heard this stat the other day. I'm like, this can't be right. It's all
across
all
all
divisions.
levels.
There you go.
Okay, so the point is, though, even let's say it's a third of that. So that's over 3,500 kids just on the FBS D1 level, if you will. But there's very little movement. There's crickets. So for a lot of people out there that are saying, well, Tennessee doesn't have a quarterback yet. Well, a lot of these kids that have entered the transfer portal, either looking for a pay raise or looking to reset the clock, as Vince put it, they're not landing anywhere else. So until I start seeing logos fill up with names of different locations and they're not the Power T, Tennessee fans, let's pump the brakes a little bit.
The problem, though, is that the one position you don't expect to see people go into the portal is the one you need, the quarterback. Now, they're also looking
That's
for...
fair.
They're also talking about receivers and defensive linemen. We'll talk about that a little later. But it is... You're not going to see a lot of proven starters get in there now. They would have done it in December if they were going to leave. And you look around, and a lot of them did. You've got guys that switched schools all over the place in December.
I'll give you that.
You're outside of the window. Doesn't mean panic.
Right.
But I don't want to give false hope that, hey, there's still plenty of people out there. In that position, they're not out there.
They're not out there.
And realistically, Chuck, on top of that, if they do get here, let's say they're here by the end of the month. May, June, July, August, you got less than 16 weeks to get comfortable before you go to Atlanta.
Well, I mean, and you got to learn the system, its tempo. I mean, it would really work out best. I mean, what's Nico going to do until he actually does something?
There,
Yeah, I mean, you don't really know. Does Joey Aguilar at UCLA become available? He is a pretty good quarterback. And he would leave, I think. And the deal is, he worked played in a tempo system at Appalachian State, 6'3", 220. I would take that as a trade. I would look at the Notre Dame transfer.
Well, we said you guys weren't here for it last week. This is fun for me because we got a totally new group than we had last week. So it's all fresh. But one of the things we mentioned last week was you could be looking at a trade. Basically, if Nico goes somewhere, that guy is going to go into the portal. Whoever he replaces goes into the portal, or vice versa. If you went and grabbed Josh Hoover from TCU, TCU would suddenly be more interested in Nico. So it is possible still that there's more Nico negotiation going on here, that whoever grabs him, you get the leftover, or whoever grabs, they get Nico as their leftover. In terms of, you mentioned it, I would be looking at Merklinger and McIntyre personally. If you want to go get, doesn't seem that they're very interested in the Notre Dame kid and Jelly. And we'll show you some of these kids' numbers in the next segment. But Merklinger, McIntyre, and go get somebody else to compete with them. I don't think you're going to get a big starter out of the portal.
And I think that's the order it's playing out, is they're trying to get the established starter, and then if they can't find that, I think they will look to bring in someone that, hey, was coming out of a competition situation that would be okay with a competition situation, just with maybe a better roster than where they're at. Here's another factor, is some teams still have their spring practice going on right now. So some are waiting to get to the finish line. Some just had the spring practice on Saturday or spring game, or whatever they did in place of that. And then maybe over the next day or two, a couple of days, you're going to see people hit the portal. Keon Coleman on the last day last year was the wide receiver from Florida State, high pick of the Buffalo Bills. On the last day he entered the portal. So
not a quarterback. I just keep going back to that. That's the problem.
Right, but maybe because of Tennessee's situation, they can bring somebody in, big name or not. I still think you're going to see more guys at the portal.
Well, I would just say to John, it's Merklinger right now. To answer the question.
It's Merklinger now. I'm saying Merklinger and McIntyre because of this. We've seen this before. You start with the more veteran guy. Maybe the other guy takes the job the farther you go into the season. So that's why I'm putting both of them in there. I'm not basing that off any practice that people saw.
I have mentioned
last week.
this, and it wasn't overwhelmingly received with favorite responses. What's Gaston Moore doing?
I think I saw enough of Gaston Moore last year.
I'm serious. If you could do a lot worse than that. If you can't find what you want.
Anybody remember the Mississippi State game when he came in for Nico?
Well, I mean, he was forcing. I don't think he's been developed. I think he could play. But I think if that is your fallback, you could do a lot worse.
To me, the answer is right now Jake Merklinger, but he has to earn the position. And I'll say this, two things. One, this is coming from a guy who cheers for a lot of large market professional teams where they just fill their holes by throwing money around. I'm going to go Oppo on this one. If Tennessee was going to pay Nico X amount of dollars, take the money you save from Nico, fill those positions we'll talk about later in the show, And number two, it was just spring practice last year. But you brought up Gaston Moore. I sat at that orange and white game last year and went, this little Merklinger Gaston Moore thing we're watching is pretty interesting. I'll give it up to Jake Merklinger. He kind of throws caution to the wind. Would I go into August 30th as matchup against Syracuse with Jake Merklinger under center and go, this team can get back to the college football playoff? Not a chance.
But they could maybe win that game.
Well, no, but I don't know if they were making a college football playoff with Nico. That's where we finished the season. We looked at the Ohio State game, and then we all did predictions for the season ahead on my Sunday, the football show, the end of that football crew. And I said 8-4. And suddenly when I said 8-4, everybody else was like, oh, we can say that? 8-4, 8-4. Overstreet and Stoll both jumped on 8-4. Everybody else was 9-3. There was nobody aside from Sterling Hinton who was sitting here going back to the playoffs undefeated.
Sure.
So I don't know if somebody this week told me that they felt that the ceiling with Jake Merklinger is 8-4. And I thought, okay, and I'm trying to think back. The first year of Manning and Brandon Stewart and Todd Helton at 8-4. Worked out okay in the long run.
Yeah.
Worked out okay in the long run. So I don't, if Tennessee's looking at this as though they're going to go 11-1 this year, then by all means, cough up the cash and go find somebody else. They're turning down $1 million raise. I don't know how much you're going to have to pay. Maybe this GM is right. You're going to have to pay $4 million. I'm with Vince though. It's kind of been, you've been held up as they're taking a stand against all this crazy money. Never mentioned the fact that Tennessee started the crazy money with Nico.
Yeah.
But if you're taking a stand and then suddenly you go we're not going to give this guy we know $4 million, but we'll give $4 million to this guy we don't know anything about and don't know how he looks in the system, then you look dumb, in my opinion. You better come out with somebody who is absolutely fantastic, no-brainer, if you're spending that kind of money.
And this may just be a year where things don't work out as well as you want at some positions.
Here's the thing. I think Josh said it perfect last Saturday during the Orange and White game when he was doing the Vol Network stuff. He said, we kind of look at this kind of like next man up, and then he moved forward with the same comments post-game and said, it's kind of like a quarterback blowing out his knee.
Yes.
I actually won a Big 12 championship with a quarterback who I lost during spring practice, and we went on to the regular season. Don't think that you have to fill this position. It's next man up, and right now those guys are George McIntyre and Jake
I tell you
Merklinger.
what, but in the SEC, I don't
right.
want to go into the SEC play with too deep at the quarterback.
No, you
I'll
need
tell
a
you
third.
that.
Well, that's where I would be going. If you want to make Gaston Moore, if you could bring him back, fine.
Right.
If you go get this guy from Notre Dame and so we're gonna rotate him in, whatever. You got to have a third guy. I get it. But the problem is, see, this is the trick. If you go and get one of these big name guys and you say, well, most of these people are also going to say, I want to be a starter. I'm not coming to compete. I'm coming to be a starter. That's what most of them are. If they're big, if they're going to impress you, if that happens and you're Merklinger, then do you say,
Bye.
I'm leaving.
Yeah.
I'm leaving because I was waiting behind Nico. Nico's gone, and I'm still not getting the chance. You're giving it to this guy, so now you're back to 2.
If they have multiple years of eligibility, and then you also
Yeah.
have to think about Faison Brandon
Right.
in the
That's
2026.
what we were going to cut down
I
here.
was going to hold off to the next segment.
Yeah.
But you're spot on.
Okay, I tell you what, let's get into that then. We'll move on to the next segment.